guys, what's going on? Welcome to Food, Drinks, and Rock and Roll. I'm Chef Nathan Lippy, and today we're going to do a 101 barbecue episode. So I'm going to show you guys some easy technique, some ingredients that you just can't live without, and some basic technique on what barbecue is and how it works. Alright, the first thing we have to do is we have to get our fire started. So we're using natural wood charcoal. This is key. Don't use the briquettes that have like the easy light. They've got chemicals and it's really not going to be great for your barbecue, especially if you're using a smoker. So we're using natural wood. Now we have a fire starter which looks like this. So we're going to pour our charcoal right in to our starter. It looks kind of like this. We're going to pop this right in our smoker. Alright, so once we have our paper underneath, we're going to start a fire that's going to light our coals. So we're going to go with a nice little wand lighter. So once those light on fire, the flames are going to lift up and it's going to create an ember in the coals. Once the coals have a nice bright red ember, check it out. They get nice and bright red. Now it's time to add them to the fire chamber. Now we're going to add some more coals on top of that, and those red embers are going to heat the rest of the coals. Alright, now it's time to talk about the second chamber. Today I'm using hickory wood. You can use any wood that you'd like. A lot of people use oak, or post oak is very traditional for Texas. I'm using hickory today mostly because I like the flavor. So what you want to do is you want to soak these in water for at least half an hour. No less than a half an hour, even an hour or 2 hours, that's fine too. We're going to go right here. I've already had some soaking. The reason we do that is because we don't want dry wood. Dry wood will actually burn and create a brown smoke, which gets a bit acrid, almost bitter. We want this to be nice and moist so it smokes and not burns. So we have our smoke dish right here. We're going to add our wood right to this bottom layer, our little smoke chamber. This is another neat aspect right here. This is our air system. This is how we can introduce more or less air, creating more or less smoke or more or less heat. When it's all the way open, air sucks in, makes the coals hotter, makes more smoke, makes more heat. But when we get to the temperature that we want, we're going to close this baby so it looks like that. And then we're going to kind of stay right around 200 degrees is where we want to be. Alright, now let's get to the rub. This is one of the most important parts of your barbecue. It's how you're going to add all the flavor to your ribs. The base of our rub is going to be brown sugar. I like to use light brown sugar, so we're going to go ahead and start with that. We're going to add some of our chipotle chili powder. Chipotle is a dehydrated jalapeno pepper, a smoked jalapeno pepper. So we're adding about a tablespoon and a half to about 4 cups of brown sugar. If you're at home and you make your own barbecue sauce, or you're working on your barbecue and you're like, it doesn't quite taste right, you're probably missing smoked paprika. Once you buy it, you can find it at any grocery store. It's pretty easy to find. Once you open it and smell it, that's barbecue. That's what you're missing. So this is a key ingredient that you don't want to miss. Same thing about a tablespoon and a half. You know what, let's go for 2 tablespoons. I'm in a saucy mood today. We're going to go with 2 tablespoons of smoked paprika. This is really going to be key to that barbecue flavor. We have some garlic powder, some regular Hungarian paprika. We're going to use some chili powder. This is one of my favorite all-purpose spices. I think it's just great. This is another one. This is one of the things I think is vital to a really good flavor in your rub. I'm using dehydrated thyme leaves or dried thyme leaves. If you want to use rosemary or basil, that's totally cool. The fun part about barbecue is it really is up to you. It's just as much an art as anything else. So your barbecue becomes an expression of who you are and what you think. I mean, if you talk to a Texan about barbecue, they think they've got it all figured out. And if they talk to someone from Kansas City or Virginia or Carolina or Memphis, everyone has their own ideas about barbecue. So this is my idea about barbecue. I've got some onion powder and some salt and pepper. Alright, now come check this out. So now we have all these beautiful spices mixed in with our light brown sugar. We use a whisk. Just make sure you break up all those ingredients and get them in here. Alright, so this is our rub. This is going to be super delicious. Now it's time to get to our ribs. So check it out. We have some delicious baby back ribs. Now there's one trick a lot of people don't actually do, but I think it's very important. There's something known as silver skin. Come in here really close. Check this out. This little skin right here on the rib, it's right on the back of the bones. This is kind of chewy, it's sinewy, it's not really delicious, so we're going to get rid of it. Now the best way to do that is to take a spoon and you're going to run it right along the bone, right here. Just get underneath that silver skin. See how it's starting to lift up just a little bit? So lift it up enough to get your finger in there, and this is the cool part. All you have to do is just get right underneath, lift it up, get a good grip, and we're gonna pull it right off the back. You see it coming right off, really easy. It's not super difficult. If you try to use a knife, this may take you quite a while. This is a super easy trick to get rid of that sinewy little layer of skin. So we're gonna do that to all of our racks. I'm doing 3 racks. I figure the smoker's going, why not do a lot of barbecue? Something I like to do with my ribs is I like to add a little bit of Worcestershire sauce and soy sauce. So this is how it works. Take a little bit of Worcestershire sauce right over the tops of the ribs. This is gonna add another layer of flavor, and it's also gonna give the rub something to stick to. We're gonna do the same thing with a bit of soy sauce as well. Right over the tops. Perfect. Now barbecue is not exactly a clean sort of cooking, so we're gonna get nice and messy. So get your hands in there and get that rub all over all of it. So rub it in. You gotta love your food. You gotta feel it. Get personal with it, you know what I mean? So you get that soy and Worcestershire sauce all over the fronts and the backs of your ribs. All right, now it's time for the rub. Right over the top, and we're gonna be very generous with this. We want lots and lots of seasoning. So right over the top, you're gonna do both sides. I'm gonna get it all covering every inch of the ribs. Today we're doing baby back ribs, but if you want to do loin or brisket or butt, you're going to do the same basic process with the rub, completely surrounding whatever you want to barbecue. And you can see that Worcestershire sauce and that soy sauce is kind of starting to make a little bit of a paste. We're kind of blending a Kansas City style sticky rib with a Memphis style dry rub. It's somewhere in between. It's what I like to call Nate's ribs. So we're up to about 190 degrees, 195 degrees. Our rub is all nice and beautiful on our ribs. We're going to go ahead and add them to the smoker, and we're going to put about 3.5 to 4 hours smoke on the ribs. So here we go. Make sure your meat is evenly spaced. If they're crowded too much and they're touching each other, the smoke won't get to the parts that the other ribs are touching. Kind of makes sense, you know what I mean? So if you've got enough room, and I've got plenty of room in this Viking gravity feed, go ahead and space them apart so they can fully be surrounded with this smoke. Now make sure you monitor your heat. If you have your flue open and too much air is getting to your coals, the heat is going to start cranking up really high. So keep an eye. Since we just had it, check it out. Since we just had the door open, we're back down to about 100 degrees, but that's going to shoot up to about 200 in just a couple of minutes. The first 2 hours are the most important time when you're smoking your meats. The meat is most permeable, and it's going to accept the most amount of smoke. Later on, I'll show you all about the smoke ring, which is a signifier of how much smoke has actually penetrated the meat. Actually, check it out. We've got a nice smoke going right now. Now the smoke, if you can see it, the smoke is nice and white with just a tint of blue. If your smoke becomes black or brown, like I said earlier, your temperature is probably too high. Right now we're at about 200 degrees, so we're right at the perfect amount of heat. So what we're going to do is we're going to close our air vent to reduce the amount of heat. So now we're going to stay at 200, our smoke is going to stay nice and thick, and we're going to let these puppies go for about 3.5 hours. Alright, so it's been about 3.5 hours. Let's check out these ribs. Oh yeah, those look awesome. Alright, there's a few easy ways you can tell when your ribs are finished. Sometimes they'll start falling off the bone, they'll be nice and tender, but the easiest way is, check this out. You're going to look at the marrow. This is the marrow right here, right along the bottom. It's the very tip of the bone. When the marrow turns black, your ribs are all finished. So these are all done. We're going to pull them over here to our cutting board. Oh man, these look so good. Oh, they're beautiful. Nice and succulent and juicy. I wish you could smell it. That smoked paprika just lights up so much on the heat. Really delicious. So follow the bone. We're going to cut individual ribs out. So I was talking earlier about the smoke ring. This right here, see if you can get a good shot of this. Right in here, right on the inside, there's a very thin layer of pink right along the end, right here, right along the edge. That's called the smoke ring. That shows how much smoke actually penetrated the meat. This is great. This is nice and delicate, nice and juicy. I don't know if you can see that, but it's just so tender. Oh, it's beautiful. We're going to put them up on our plate right here, just like so. Oh, it's beautiful babies. Then we take our sauce, and we go right over the top. Just like so. Oh, that is money. So just to recap real quick, So we added the rub, we added all those special ingredients, and what's the most important one? Smoked paprika. We did the rub all over the ribs. We got our wood chips nice and smoky up to how many degrees? 200 degrees, perfect temperature. We smoked them for 3.5, almost 4 hours, pulled them out, sliced them, boom, bam, easy barbecue sauce, and that's how you do it. I'm Chef Nathan Lippy. Thank you for hanging out at Food, Drinks, and Rock and Roll.
Rock out! Come to